old stoner like me. This article was written on the 25th of December 2025, pre-cannabis cessation and 12 weeks alcohol-free. It feels exactly like coming down off a pill. That's the raw, undignified data point. No clinical terminology, no neurobiological reframe, just the blunt, felt truth of a brain that's been offline for 35 years suddenly trying to reboot. For an old stoner like me, after a lifetime of the chemistry being outsourced, this is what repair feels like. A weird, jittery come-down. I'm 58. I've spent 35 years in a daily chemical fog. A 20-year alcohol chaser on top of it. The project, this forensic public log with AI partners I call the accidental scaffold, began when I finally saw the crash. Not a moral failure, but a technical one. On stage, my mind would lock. The filing system, the network that should retrieve rehearsed comedy routines or guitar licks on command, would corrupt. I'd look at my notebook and see only glyphs. The data was there, but the read-only mind was locked. That was the signal. The machine was broken. Just over 12 weeks ago, I stopped the alcohol. The current mission is the cannabis, with a hard stop at midnight on December the 31st. What's happening now, in this bridge period, is the brain beginning its recalibration without its primary external dampeners. And it's messy. It's not a smooth ascent to clarity. It's a violent seesawing search for a new zero point. A memory surfaced recently clear as a bell. When I was 23, although I was already smoking cannabis it wasn't daily, taking magic mushrooms for a brief season, I'd puff up, a physical sensation of bursting with happiness. I haven't felt that since, until the other day. A clean, sharp rush of well-being hit me. No external cause, no chemical trigger, just a surge of clarity. My hypotheses? That mushroom puff at 23 was one of the last clear recordings of my native, unmodulated dopaminergic system firing at full capacity. The rush the other day was that same system, for the first time in decades, clearing the static and generating its own signal. But what goes up must come down. The next day, the flatness hit, the come-down feeling, the instinct honed over a lifetime, was to read it as depletion. A cue to seek the next external fix. Here's the reframe. Courtesy of the clinical mirror of the scaffold, it wasn't a come-down, it was stabilisation. That flatness was my brain's homeostatic response. After a genuine self-generated neurochemical peak, the system was actively working to bring itself back to a sustainable baseline. It was a sign of a regulating system, not a failing one. For an old stoner, this is a brutal re-education. Your baseline for comparison isn't natural balance. It's 33 years of chemical flatness punctuated by artificial spikes. Your brain is trying to locate a sober equilibrium it last genuinely knew at 22, with machinery that's been running on different firmware ever since. This process has a rhythm, a predictable unpredictability. I'm calling it the daily set point. Some mornings you wake up heavy, the fog is thick, the system is constricted. The weather often sets the tone for the whole day. A low-bandwidth day where the goal is simple navigation, not peak performance. Other days you boot up clear. The dopamine is clean, the mind is sharp. These are high-bandwidth days for repair work. But the waves can still roll in. A stressor, a skipped meal, a moment of overwhelm can trigger a pause, post-acute withdrawal syndrome wave. A sudden clamp of anxiety, a physical constriction in the chest, a sticky brain. This is the raw, unmodulated fight-or-flight system. Hypersensitive without its chemical dampeners. The breakthrough isn't making the wave stop, the breakthrough is knowing its name. When a wave hits, I don't see it as a personal failure or as an existential threat. I log it. I note the time, I might even clock its duration. By turning it from symptom into a data point, it loses its power to hijack. The wave isn't that bad when you know it's just a wave and not the ocean. The pilot in the cockpit. This is the core metric of the repair. Pilot awareness. The other day I noted, I'm not flying at maximum altitude today, but the pilot is aware and dealing with it. That distinction is everything. The old system would have been embedded in the low altitude, either denying the instrument readout or autopiloting towards a chemical solution. Now, there's a separation. The pilot, the sober observing PFC, can assess the system, the neurochemical weather, and make adjustments. It can note the ghost track of anxiety playing in a silent room. It can override a craving by dissecting its mechanism. It can choose to bury itself in the project's architecture for 30 minutes to ride out a wave. This awareness is the scaffold. This is the repair. The altitude will always fluctuate. The pilot's presence is what we're building to be permanent. So, if you're an old stoner like me, or anyone trying to recalibrate after a long modulation, know this. The come-down feeling is a lie. It's not depletion. It's your system clumsily but earnestly trying to find its way home. The goal isn't to never feel bad. The goal is to become the unshakable pilot who can read the storm and fly through it, knowing clear skies are part of the pattern too.